Alison Gordon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
This is fun.
I know, it's been many years together, and here we are, still working in this industry.
Amazing. The industry stays young, and we just keep getting a little bit older every day. But nice to see you. We've been doing this for, it hasn't been 10 years. You've been in it a lot longer than I have, but we've been doing this type of conversation for a very
long time. And we've done it in Vegas. We've done it in Toronto. We've done it everywhere.
We did it at once during Fashion Week, I feel like, in Toronto. Do you remember we were on a stage? I don't like, you know, there were so many people that were so interested. Yeah. It was like at one of those
Fashion Week.
Yeah, I feel like it was Fashion Week. Yeah.
Like that was peak cannabis in Canada. That they were having cannabis panels during Fashion Week.
Yeah, they had it once. There was one panel. Some of those people are still around. Most of them are not. But you are. I am. Different seats. That's what I want to talk to you about. Give us the sketch of what Ripped is in New York, because I'm curious, and then want to dive deep.
Okay, so I launched Ripped in New York. I think we're going on 8 months ago. Basically was looking at all the different markets. I've obviously worked across Canada, throughout, California. We don't need to name them all, Washington, Oregon, but New York, I hadn't really looked at because it was coming later, and everyone said, oh, New York's going to be terrible like everywhere else. And I actually had friends who started working at one of the big LPs, HPI, who is our partner there. And so I became more interested and noticed that in New York, they didn't have any great ground indoor offering, which we know in Canada, there is a brand, maybe they'll remain nameless, maybe we'll speak about them, who is doing amazing with that SKU. And in New York, no one was doing that. So I reached out to my friends and said, hey, I want to do a higher quality premium flower indoor. It's just ground for the consumer. It's not like sweeping up the floor shake and giving them that. It's actually just a great product that's more convenient. That's how it started.
And when you were looking at the market, did it like pop out at you, or you were like plotting all the SKUs that are in New York in some systematic way, or it was just very obviously and glaring that like?
No, it's always been obvious to me about the brand here in Canada. That is really one of the only brands, at least it used to be a few years ago, that people would walk out of a store if they didn't have. And this is a ground product, indoor flower, and it's actually, like, as you know, Jay, beloved here. And so it actually was specifically around that when I was looking at New York going, it's so weird that they don't have that. I know, Ontario, New York, we're next door to each other, not so different people at all, especially when you get into the Buffalo, Syracuse, upstate, Western New York area. It's very familiar. And I was like, I think people will really like this. The challenge was going to be in New York, different than Canada. How were we going to get that high THC? Because what I was really looking to do this time around was meet the customer where they are. They want high THC at a low price. You know what? Let's give them that and make it even more convenient and make it ground. Versus, I think, Jay, when we're trying to educate the consumer, it's not all about THC percentages. All that is true, but I've had a long career and just thought New York is a really great market for reasons you and I will talk about in a minute. They didn't have this ground offering, so let's go. Let's do it. And so far, we've been right. Like, they've been absolutely loving it. Sales have been amazing for Ripped. Amazing.
Yeah, we've had interesting conversations. I would say even lately about there's lots to garner from what has happened in Canada, which is now a super mature market.
Yeah.
Heavily regulated, yes, but also like there's real benefits of understanding what consumers want, for, a very long time.
Yes.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Consumers will want this at some point. And that's sort of the insight that I wonder if you think you bring to it, is that you've seen a market from pre-days, early days, mature days, very mature days. And like, consumers do speak to what they want, and they will tell you with their pocketbook. But I also wonder, that's on the sort of product side, but also the brand side, right? Like, what do you think you bring most to the table in New York? Is it just insight of where the market is going because nobody in New York has been there yet?
I think there's a variety of things. Okay. From Canada, as you said, we've seen a market mature. So we've seen things happen. And from an equipment standpoint in Canada, we've been so early on the legalization and the product that the products have obviously evolved, as has the ability to make it. So when we look at a market like New York, they obviously are ahead of where Canada was early days because they have equipment for things, right? But interestingly, they don't necessarily take on all the products that we have here. So for example, something that's done really well in Canada for years is the pre-rolls that are done in the cigarette style equipment. I'm not seeing that. I mean, look, I don't see every single product in New York. I haven't seen that yet in New York, which to me, I'm like saying to HBI, like, let's get that equipment because
let's get it up and running.
Like this company is not even in business anymore to my knowledge. But when ReadyCan in Canada first came out, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, maybe more, with the cigarette style, they dominated. I think at one point they were like 80% of the pre-roll market when they had that. And then now we have the Back 40 in Canada doing the thicker version of the cigarette, which I think is doing really well here. So again, they don't necessarily have that equipment yet in New York. So I think there's stuff that we can look at product wise and also like be early on the manufacturing side if we have the right partner there. But I think we also have knowledge as to what happens from a dispensary standpoint. So it's both what does the consumer want, but also what's going to happen to these retailers as more stores open up, and how do we properly service them and work with them to ensure that we can stay relevant as the market goes.
Yeah, I mean, that is part of it. It's always shocking to me, even just looking at the regulatory side, that every state thinks they are unique, and then every sort of brand or company launching in a new market thinks that they are unique or have a unique spin. And it's like, you know, that phrase, like history rhymes, like markets rhyme with each other, right? Over time, you know, it is a bit of like, we know consumers are going to want this. We know the wholesale price of cannabis is going to do this. Like, how do you build a business for that future state, knowing the future state is absolutely coming, not knowing necessarily if it's 6 or 12 months down the line, but like, those are lessons hard learned in Canada that you can take elsewhere.
Yes. I mean, look, I had hoped when the decision to go to New York, when I made that decision, one of the things I loved about the New York market was I thought that it would not become as oversaturated, both from the producer side and on the dispensary side. They had in New York, which a lot of other states, and we didn't have in Canada, or at least not in Ontario, this distance regulation from other dispensaries. So we all know in Canada, we reached a point where there could be, and I'm not exaggerating, for American watchers, 6 on the same block in Queen Street, right? They were never going to survive. There aren't enough people for that. So New York had the distance requirement, not just from churches and community centers, but also from other dispensaries. So I was like, okay, you know what? New York, upstate, everywhere, they have a lot of churches. It's, you know, that's part of the East, right? And that they wouldn't be there. Now I felt that would lead to have less stores. So I think when I started 8 months ago, maybe there was 400. Now we're at 600. So the trend, unfortunately, they seem to be finding spaces for more dispensaries, or maybe the regulators aren't, you know, staying on top of this distance regulation. But that was a major reason for me, which seems to, I'm still preparing for there to be more stores now than I originally thought. So that's one big thing. I say, you know, they say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere but New York. I say that about Canada because, as you know, we had the government sitting in the middle. We had to sell to the government. The stores buy from the government. So to me, if you can sell and market in the Canadian environment, that is going to be amazingly helpful for New York. We know how to service stores, and not just if you're the distributor or if you're the sales team. Like, we know how to pop up, how to help them move more business, because that's the only way we could do it in Canada. We can't sell right to them. So I think there is still a lot of opportunity in New York, but yes, you have to prepare for the downside. How do you do that? To me, it's about price and THC. I mean, that's what we see everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm. And on the ripped menu of products you have, there's the sort of indoor grown ground, and then indoor grown ground infused.
Right. So we launched with infused, and that's the way I was starting, was to say the New York market, the grow is not at where we are. I can't even believe I'm saying these words in Canada. It's not there yet. We've gotten better at growing indoor, hybrid, all of that. So New York is still, the THC levels of their flower and their indoor flower are still lower. I mean, they're still learning how to grow within these regulated environments. And for me, with the goal of meeting the consumer where they are. That meant coming out with the highest THC for the lowest price. So that decision when we launched was, okay, let's infuse. Our only competitor in the market that was infusing that I thought was anything worth noting is a company called Revert. They were just infusing with keef. They were still in the mid 30s. I was like, no, I want right on the bag, 40% plus. That means like it's on the front of the bag. I can't ever not be that. Right. So we were like, let's do a great like triple infusion diamonds, keef and distillate so we can hit that high THC. Let's bring in some cannabis terps so that people open the bag and get that hit, and then ground so you can just, smoke it anywhere. Yeah. And that's how we came to it. Really was because we couldn't meet that high THC demand in the New York market yet, but people love it infused. What can I tell you, Jay?
Yeah. I want to ask sort of I don't want to ask you questions about expansion beyond sort of New York, but like, is there something to make it here, make it anywhere? Like, launching in New York, understanding that market, which is highly regulated, but also pretty, it's a pretty varied market between sort of upstate and Western New York and Manhattan. Yeah. Like it is a country unto itself.
It is.
Like, are there learnings there that are, I mean, we talked about learnings from Canada to New York. My sense is there's learnings in New York that are also applicable to either other new markets or other sort of mature markets. Like, how much of that do you sort of take notes all the time and say, we could do this in these 3 markets if we did these 4 things?
Okay. Interestingly, because we've done so well out of the gate, I've gotten calls for people to license or work with us in other states. And it's interesting because in my head, I was almost done with cannabis before Ripped. I just thought I've had some really good opportunities, and the market is in Canada, especially, just it's hard and it's not great. But then I think I was just really focused on New York. I was like, here's an interesting market. They've got, 30 million people, maybe more, almost the size of our entire country in this little state. As you said, there's upstate, there's all these different areas in the state. Very much thought, I just want to focus on New York. Also, people are so busy, Jay, in our industry, like, I want to be everywhere. I want to be a national business or international, all these things. It's like, I can do New York well. I personally, as the founder, have gotten in my car every couple of months, driven Buffalo, Syracuse, Albany, Lake George, Staten Island. Like, I'm doing it. Manhattan, Long Island, like going in the car. And that, as you said, I can learn about my consumers, the market, become friends with the dispensary owners, figure out what they need, supply them with what they need. And I'm kind of just into that right now.
Right.
Let's just do well in one market before I take my time and energy and effort and try. But there are other interesting markets that I'm learning. I thought I knew everything, but there are better markets than others. And I think New York is still a good market.
Well, even as you said, like, I think you were saying, like, it's, the saturation is happening, went from 400 to 600 dispensaries in a year. But at least it's going that way as opposed to the other way, which has happened here, right? Like, in our neighborhood, we did have 6. Now we have 4 dispensaries. But I also think, and this is a question to you, the operators get better over time, right? Whether some open, some closed. Yeah. They know now, many of the people you drove around to and all those places a year ago or 8 months ago are now 8 months in, 8 months further, right? They actually know what sells. They know how to train the team. They know what brands that people like on shelves. They know how to sort of maximize the in-store operation. Like, all those things do matter.
They do. And obviously it's interesting to not have a government sitting in the middle like we do in Canada, because you can actually work with your store. Like, I'll talk to the stores and say, okay, so we are launching actually tomorrow. So this is
perfect.
Unplanned pre-launch conversation. The new SKUs, as you mentioned, which are uninfused, right? So we're still so to your point, you're talking about dispensaries, but even the licenses are getting better at operating. So we can actually 8 months later say, oh, there's some really nice flower. We don't need to infuse it. We can still be in the 30% THC and it's still terpy and great, right? So they do get better, the operators. I mean, they're only 8 months in, but I can work with them. So when I went out to do that tour and I said, what would you like? We couldn't do this in Canada. What would you like to see from Ripped? You telling me it's selling really well. It just, flies off the shelf because it's the right price and the right product. What do you want to see? Pre-rolls, what price would they need to be? And everyone said first, a lot of things, but one was uninfused. And here's what the price would need to be. This is new for you and I. Like, it wouldn't go down like this in Canada. To be able to speak to the stores, find out what they need, and then actually just turn around and make the product, not have to wait for, a product call and 8 months later. Like, I can get a product on the shelf in 2 weeks if we want. So I think that's obviously across the States, not just New York. So maybe I'm just excited coming into that, but I think it really, it really helps. In Canada, you have these chains, people charging for shelf space by calling it data programs. Like, it's hard. The margins are small. You have government taking margin. Okay, so margins are small in New York, but you're not cutting a government in at whatever that comes to at this point, 50%, like in the end. And B, you can actually create products for certain parts of the market. Like, upstate's going to like something that Manhattan's not going to like. That's okay. We can have that on our menu. It just doesn't work that way everywhere.
Yeah, it's much more nimble and responsive to the customer and the dispensaries and a real timeline, right? Get a product to shelves in Ontario, you almost have to have the product. They need to sign off on it. It needs to coordinate with one of their product calls and then get listed. But you're talking about, I don't know,
a year.
Yeah, like a year.
At least.
Yeah. And you've missed the window to be actually helpful and actually generate revenue based on that.
Well, you also don't know what your competitors are doing. Like, everybody could be sitting around for a full year. None of us even know that a year from now, we're all about to launch, 100 of the exact same new product. So I really enjoy that about the New York market. I think everybody also, by the way, can I say how much I love the people there? Like, it feels Canada 10 years ago. Jay, you're there as well. Like, happy, excited, they're making money.
Right.
It's like, it's so lovely to walk into a store. The owner's happy to see you. They're happy you showed up. They're doing well. They're making money.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, not that you go into a store and try to dampen their spirit, but like, are you more aware of what's coming next or what could come next than they are?
Oh my God. Okay. So in New York, the two biggest stores are actually 5 minutes from each other. Happy Days and Strain Stars Farmingdale and Long Island, both like in Farmingdale, I think they are. So Long Island stores do quite well, I think, because some of them, of the counties opted out. Anyway, all to say that when I was touring around Long Island a couple of weeks ago, some of the other stores, not those two, are like, we're going to open in Farmingdale. And I was like, why?
Well,
why can't everybody just see you all have it so good now? You have a wicked store, wherever you are in Long Island. They're doing really well. Happy Days and Strain Stars. Can't we just leave it? And I tell them, me, Jay, I'm not going to sit quiet.
No, you're not going to be shy.
I'm like, you have an amazing store. I usually use our friend Mimi and Super Ed as an example. I say, I have a friend who in 2018 got one of the first, I think it was 25 licenses. I think she, I'm probably making up these numbers. Sorry, Mimi, but they're not totally inaccurate. I say she did probably 30 million year one out of one store. 4 years later, she probably couldn't do 20 million out of 6 stores. These are not factual numbers, but
directionally correct.
Right. But I see that in New York, and it's like, it just breaks my heart because there's some amazing stores. There's stores that are doing $1.5 million a week in retail, right?
That's good.
And so just when people see numbers like that and they are weed smokers, they're like, I'm going to get into this.
Right. They're and it is, there's lots of lessons. This is also a lesson from Canada, but other markets too. California, similar lessons, I'm sure. And I guess the other part is, being nimble enough to run a small business. You want it to be a big business, but nimble enough to run a small business.
Well, you know what? Interesting you say you want it to be a big business. I think one of the things I've learned all these years, and Jay, the deals I've done. So, I've taken my company public. I've sold that company. We were in on the original Lord Jones raise and the sale of Lord Jones. So like some big deals, Kronos, all that. We've done it all, like a lot. And this time I'm more saying to myself, people have forgotten about the value of just a good small business that does well.
Yeah. Well,
and makes you money every month. And like, no, it's not the going public and I'm going to now be, hundreds of millions or whatever it is. But I do think maybe that's the lesson. I don't know what you think.
Well, I was actually going to ask you about that because, running a small business versus running, even if it's a small public company, like your time was split between all the things we just talked about, plus talking to investors. and
I
manages.
love that we say a small public company, which it was in my mind too, but trading at, a $250 million valuation.
You can laugh at it now.
Pre-revenue company value. Like, yeah.
It was a wild time.
Yeah.
It was a very wild time.
Right,
And I guess,
you.
but with that, and the bigger it, I mean, I guess the bigger it gets, even ripped, the less you're going to be on the road in Syracuse and Staten Island and Long Island, like being that close and hearing yourself sort of what consumers and what dispensaries and what the industry looks like. There's just no distillation of like,
there is no, listen, you and I know, I'm just copying our dear friend Bubba, who, when I watched him with Graybeard go out for 2 years and just drive across this country, which Canada much bigger than New York State. But there is, honestly, this is why I beg him to write a book, which I believe he is. There is no better use of my time as a founder. Like, I don't believe it. We can see, because in New York we have better data than we had here. So I can see, and also we're selling right to the stores. So I can see the correlation between me getting in the car. And we have some amazing reps. Like one of our reps, Rob, he's the real life Peter Griffin. Check him out. You guys will die. He physically was born looking like Peter Griffin, his face, all of it. So we have amazing people and they affect the sales a lot. But as a founder, it just means the world to these stores that you're taking the time to go in, find out how your product's working, and see what they need. So New York is easier than Canada. The way it's smaller state, you can drive around. To your point, you get bigger, but not if you stay in New York.
Right.
If I do wind up taking up some of these opportunities, yeah, I don't know. I think that's when it falls apart. I'm not going to name names, but we can see it in New York. The national brands are not even probably doing as well as some of the brands that are just focused in New York.
Yeah. And we see that. We have data from Little Alerts. They're a partner of ours, and we see it too. The brands that, New York based is super helpful. And New York in their ethos, like in their whole approach.
What is Little Earth? I need and want this.
Yeah.
What is it?
What's that? Oh, Little Alerts. It's like it's a data company. They're based in New York, but they do a bunch of Northeast markets. We'll send it to you. They have a top 10 list. We do a top 50 list with them. I'll send it to you. It's great.
And for the products in the stores.
Yeah. And Rick Bashkoff is amazing. The guy that one of the founders and the CEO. I'll send it to you.
Yes, I would love. And then I will talk about this because I won't name the names of what we use, but we're always looking for more data.
And he talks about how people use it in real time. Like you're going into a store in Staten Island, you could check what's going on, very locally to the stores around. And
really? Oh my God, guys, stay tuned. Let's do another podcast on that.
It's like a promo for Little Earth. It's great.
Oh, I want to, that's so critical because it is true. Like before I walk into a store, I'm pulling up 50 different points of data.
This is great.
To try and meet them. But I think that is the beauty of New York. Like you can access some great data and you can go in, but of course things are going to change. Like, what do you want? What do we want? We expect it's going to stay amazing.
No,
I knew as soon as I entered the market, it was going to change. I was like, ah!
But it's going to shift and change just like every market does. But but being well positioned for that change, being nimble enough to respond to consumers and to dispensaries, being able to hear what is happening on the ground. Like these are all things that.
Well, I'll give you some little more specific tidbits because I feel like I've talked a bit broadly. So if people want some, more specific advice, so New York, when I entered the market 8 months ago, every single store, I literally would feel confident saying 100% of the stores, but I won't bet my house on it. We're doing, they buy wholesale price double. Retail was double, everyone. So I was like, oh, I love this market. Yeah. Everyone was charging the same. And please, if anyone's watching, keep doing this. This is where it goes awry. It's really only in the last month or two, I have sadly have to note that some stores are like, wait a minute, why don't I just take less of a margin and I'll beat some of the stores around me? And it's like, no, it's a
swirl downward.
It's a swirl downward. I mean, of course, it's so different here because we sell directly to the stores. You can make deals. They can cut deals. They're not supposed to, but if people are doing it. But yeah, so I would say New York, definitely we see the price compression. So people should think about that as they move forward. And you're starting to see a lot more products on the shelf, right? So it's becoming oversaturated.
Well, Alison, this has been amazing. This is great.
Can we not end on that note, Jay? Wait, let's end on a
No, let's on a great note. Everybody go get ripped.
Everybody go get ripped. Really? You're going to love it. People love it. Go get
and
ripped.
We'll put how to get in touch with you for sure, but also where to find Ripped, and we'll put a link to the website where you can see the products, that even one that is now on store shelves very soon. So we appreciate that, Alison.
Thank you, Jay, and let's talk again soon.
I'll probably see you sometime this summer at a show, some Grateful Dead.
Oh, you'll be at Revelry?
Maybe, but I'm talking about sort of more in the Ontario region of
you're talking about like a Grateful Dead show?
Yeah.
See that? End it right there.
If we do that, then we're all good. We're all good. Alison, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it. Great. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.